Athletics for, oh, thank you.
Sorry, you can start now.
Associate Director of Athletics for External Affairs and Capital Projects at CSUB. She will give us an update on CSUB athletics and the move to the Big West Conference.
Hey, hi everyone. It's great to be here. Thank you for including athletics in your meeting. And I'm going to share. Well, before I share my screen, I'm going to just go through a couple of things. So I have seen many of you around our sporting events over the years. I've been on campus for almost 20 years in the athletics department and have enjoyed every second and have seen lots of change and growth over time. And we've had a long and really fun, I hope you guys think it's fun too, relationship with 60 Plus. And so many of the different members have helped us with our sporting events and providing service to our fans and donors. And so we really appreciate that and always really enjoy the relationship that we've had with 60 Plus. So I'm going to go ahead and share what I have for you today. And let me see if I can get this up and going here. Okay, I'm going to share my screen here and I'm going to go back to the beginning and I'm going to put it in there. So can you guys see the presentation okay? Okay. So today what I'm going to do is I'm just going to provide you with an update, things that are happening in the athletics department. Big part of that, as was mentioned early on the call, is the transition to the Big West Conference. So this is something that we've been talking about for a very long time, longer than I like to remember sometimes, but we started the conversation with the Big West Conference back in 2005 when we made the decision to move the athletics department from Division II to Division I. We started talking to the Big West Conference about how we believed that we were a perfect fit for the conference. They did not agree at that time. And so we had to spend a lot of time and energy and resources and manpower really putting ourselves in the best position to be able to enter the conference and be a program that they really viewed as adding value to the conference overall. And we were finally able to do that. We received our invitation to the conference in 2018. We had a 2-year runway to get ready, all the final preparations. And we officially became a Big West Conference member in July of 2020. The timing was a little anticlimactic because we didn't get to have any big celebrations or parties as we entered into the conference, but we did it. And so I'll give you a little bit more information on that as we go through, but I do want to just share with you a few things about the athletics department that you may or may not know. I am here, I'm a senior associate athletics director, and I am here really on behalf of our athletics director, Ziggy Siegfried, which I believe he's probably come and presented to you guys in the past. And you got the upgrade, guys. But he's been a great leader for us, and he's really helped our department to grow. And back in 2015, we all got together and we did a strategic planning process with them. We brought in a consultant. They really helped us to really refine the way we do business and how we focus, how we train our leadership team. And you know, we came up with these 4 pillars. So everything that we do is focused around academic excellence for our student athletes, having a first-class experience for them overall, just being on our campus and being in Bakersfield. We want to win, so we definitely want competitive success. And then, you know, our community engagement is really important. The university is such an important part of the community, and the community is, you know, really is what makes our success possible. So we continue to try to foster that relationship with the community at large. And we do that through, you know, really our operating principles. We try to be unified, focused on growth, service oriented, and we try to provide the highest quality product that we can, no matter what it is that we're doing. This is just a snapshot of our team. So we have 16 teams. We have 6 on the men's side, 10 on the women's side. We have 165 female student athletes, 143 men, a total of 308 student athletes. And this is what they study. I mean, they are athletes. We know that because we see them in uniform and we see them competing, and that's a pretty public part of what they do, but they are students. And so as of today, this is a list of their majors. So the number one area of study for our student athletes is business and public administration, liberal studies. Many of them have ambitions to become teachers and coaches. And so they study either liberal studies or kinesiology, but we have a nice broad set of areas of study for our student athletes. Just talking about the conference, we talked about it a little bit already, but as you know, we started to talk about this, I just mentioned this before, is in 2018, we received an invitation to join the Big West Conference. And with the exception of the move to Division I, it was probably one of the most important things that's ever happened to our athletics department. We were in a conference that was across 8 states, going as far away as Chicago. And now we are in a conference that has 10 schools that are all located in the state of California and then 1 in Hawaii. And so if you have to travel somewhere far away, the fact that it's Hawaii isn't awful. So I know that our student athletes like that part of their schedule, but just takes a lot of pressure off of the student athletes. And so at its face value and financially, being in the Big West Conference is such a huge advantage. But the things that you can't really measure are, most of our student athletes come from California. And so when they travel down south to either play at Fullerton or Irvine or Cal Poly or UC Davis, many times they're going back close to their hometown where their families can come and see them compete, and their friends can come and see them compete. And they don't spend a whole day. When we were traveling in the WAC conference, we would spend all day Wednesday traveling, Thursday competing, Friday traveling to the next stop, Saturday competing, and then Saturday night coming home. So they were gone from Wednesday to like midnight, 1, 2, 3 in the morning on a Saturday. They had 1 day off on Sunday to do their life and laundry and other things. And then they were back at it on Monday, back to class and practice. And so this is really a lifestyle game changer for our student athletes to not be spending, this massive amount of time just traveling. Many of our trips, we can go down, compete, come back on the same day. We won't always do that. Sometimes, most times you go and play two games at a time. So we'll go down, play one on a Friday, one on a Saturday, and come back. So we're really cutting 2 days off of the travel in most cases. So that's a huge advantage. And for a lot of reasons for the department, but really for just the lifestyle of the student athletes. They get to be home in their apartments more, around their friends more, a chance to see their families more often. And so a chance to study, get better grades, we hope. Then just another couple things related to alignment. The Big West Conference doesn't sponsor men and women swim. So when we were in the WAC, they sponsored swimming. And so we competed for a WAC championship in men and women swimming and diving. The Big West Conference does not at this time have sponsor those 2 sports. So we've moved our swim teams over to the MPSF, and you can see that logo in the bottom right-hand corner. That's the Mountain Pacific Sports Federation. And it's a group of schools from the West that have swimming and diving that aren't sponsored by their main conference like us. So it's a very competitive conference. It's a very difficult conference for us to win, but our swim team has always done a nice job of being competitive. So I'm sure that they'll continue to do well there. And then since the 80s, our wrestling team has been part of the Pac-12, and we will continue to do that. So that's our conference affiliation lineup. And then now I just want to give you a couple of just general updates within the department. Again, the transition to the Big West Conference, I see I have a typo on my screen. It was effective July 1 of 2020. And we were all working from home, and we weren't sure if we were going to have any competitions at all. And it was, like I said, one of probably the most important things that has ever happened to our athletics department. And, it just, in a lot of ways, it just kind of felt like another day. But we had a great first year in the conference. Our teams competed well. We have formed relationships with the other athletics directors and administrators across the conference, which has been really helpful as we have navigated through COVID. So imagine if we would have been working with our WAC teammates, our WAC opponents, I guess, through COVID. We would have been working with people from the state of Texas, Illinois, Kansas, Washington, Arizona. So states and regions that had a very different mindset, very different philosophy, protocols, rules, and things related to COVID. And so, I believe that it would have been much more difficult. It was a really comfortable and a confident place to be when we were thinking about and making decisions related to COVID, when we were sitting in the room with other California State University employees and other people that were living in California and dealing with the California rules and protocols. And so it really made being a part of, that was a part of being in the conference that we couldn't even have predicted, but it ended up being something that was really helpful and made a very difficult time, a little less difficult. So we did not, our fall sports did not compete, as many of you probably know, but our men and women's basketball teams did compete. They both had great seasons. They were strange, like many things were throughout the year. We had a couple of disruptions with positive COVID tests, nothing too significant. We had, just a positive test here and there, but we were very, very cautious with our student athletes. And so if we were to have a positive test, then we put the whole team into quarantine, and we had fewer missed contests than anyone else in our conference. We got almost full schedules completed for both of our men and women's basketball teams. So that's a huge, huge testament to our athletic training and medical staff. So the staff in our CSUB Health Center, our local doctors that support our team, and our trainers within our athletics department really did a great job of taking care of our student athletes and keeping them healthy through a really, kind of an interesting time where they didn't really know what they were dealing with, but they were very cautious and very thoughtful about how they took care of our athletes and kept them very safe. We had our softball team chose not to compete this year related to a number of different things, COVID being part of it. But our baseball team did compete, and we had a really competitive year in year one in the Big West Conference, the sport of baseball. It is a very competitive conference, and we did well. We finished in the middle, kind of in the middle of the pack, in a conference that has 3 teams that are ranked in the top 25. So we were really proud of that. Is there anything, I'll just pause for a second, and just before I move on, we already talked a little bit about COVID. I'll talk a little bit more about that. Is there any other questions that I can answer specifically about the Big West Conference, or anything that you wonder about what's happening there? Just want to make sure I address anything that you guys are thinking about. Okay, hearing none, I will keep going. So just moving on to the COVID-19 disruptions. So everyone's probably had some degree of disruption in their lives related to COVID-19. The world of sports took pretty significant, it was, significantly altered. And there were a lot of people, like I'd mentioned before, a lot of people that spent a lot of time really studying and trying to understand what we could do that was safe. And we chose through this year to do most of our sports with very, very strict and very low contact, as much low contact as possible in sports, we took that approach. We did lots and lots of COVID tests. Some of our teams, our wrestling team tested 7 days a week. Our basketball teams were testing 3 to 4 times a week. And we are very proud of our results. We were very careful, very cautious, did not have fans, had very minimal number of workers on site when we had a competition on our campus. And, we feel like we have gotten through, what was dealt to us. I don't want to say with flying colors, but with the best that we could have hoped for and best that we could possibly imagine. So now we're kind of moving on to the next phase of COVID-19, and hopefully that's putting COVID-19 in the rearview mirror and returning to campus. And so our staff has still been working largely from their homes remotely, but we plan to return to campus on August 2nd, and we plan to have a full complement of sporting events on our campus that will be open to fans. We're not 100% certain to what degree. We're not certain that will be 100% capacity or some modified percentage, but we are looking ahead. We're starting to sell tickets, and we're starting to put together, our schedules are just becoming finalized, and we are really looking forward to having people back on campus and cheering on our student athletes. So there's a lot that goes into that. We have to really, our campus has been mostly empty for the last 14 months. So we're going through, there's a number of things that we have to do as we return to campus. And one of the things that we have to do is staffing. We had a number of people who have left CSUB that we hadn't replaced. So right now we are hustling to get some staff members back in place, filling critical positions. We have a couple of coaching positions open, a handful of positions on staff. We're going through and tidying up all of our facilities and getting them ready for public consumption, for our fans to come back. And the next time you guys come to campus, you'll see a new renovation that is recently, it's not quite completed, but it's very close. And that is, we renovated the front of the Icardo Center, and we named it the area out in front, named it the Harvey Hall Family Plaza. We really did, we've modernized the front and the entry as you walk up from the parking lot. We've improved a number of safety issues, lighting, and it's beautiful. So we have places to sit, there's landscaping, and it's nice and open. And for those of you who've been to the Icardo Center in the past, I think next time you are there, if you have a chance to see it, you're going to be pleasantly surprised, and I hope you guys love it. So the last thing that's going to go in place is we are waiting for a bronze statue of the Roadrunner to be created, and we expect that to be installed sometime in late August, and then we'll do a big grand opening to get that ready. But we're also going through all of the remainder of our facilities, making sure that they are in working order and that they're ready for staff and students. And we're being as responsible and frugal as we can be with our budget. I think we are always we're always operating on a pretty tight budget. With the uncertainty that surrounds COVID, we're just trying to be extra careful, but we feel like we're in a pretty good place with our budget moving forward and have a good chance to be successful and provide that first class experience for our students that we're committed to. Let me see what's here next. So the last slide that I have here is, I just wanted to talk to all of you about, different ways that people in our community can become involved with the athletics department. 60 Plus has always been such a great help in volunteering, but we ask people to follow us on social media. Do you guys all have Twitter accounts? You guys all following us on Twitter? You don't have to have social media to follow us. We just relaunched a brand new design to our website. So if you guys are computer users, gorunners.com gives you just about anything you would want to know about the athletics department, our schedules, our student athlete bios, and we just did a new redesign. And so it's nice. There's great photographs of our students, and all of the latest news related to our student athletes and our teams are always going to be on gorunners.com. We do, for those of you who are social media users, we do have Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and all those, if you're interested in that type of stuff. And then, we invite you to attend. If you are a sports fan at all and you would want to see our student athletes compete, we are fully anticipating having fans in our buildings. We are also very cognizant and very aware and committed to providing the safest possible environment for everyone. And so we'll continue to be, we'll continue to seek ways to do that. And then volunteering. I mean, you guys have been such a great help for us on game day, and particularly in our hospitality area, where we have a large number of fans and donors that come in there, and we just don't have enough people on our staff to provide the type of customer service that we'd like to provide to our fans. And so 60 Plus has been a great extension of our staff in that way. So we are going to continue to have events like the barbecues and number of events where we can always use an extra set of hands. And then the last thing people ask, well, what can we do to help? There's opportunities for to help our student athletes through donations to the scholarship fund. Our number one priority in regards to fundraising is related to scholarships. We have to raise all of the money privately to fund almost $4 million in scholarships each year. And we have been very fortunate and have been able to do that successfully over, the many, many years. And it changes the trajectory of the lives of these young folks that come and commit their time to CSUB, and they wear our blue and gold, and they wear our Bakersfield jerseys all over the country. And those scholarships help to make that happen, help to attract them here and help them thrive while they are here in Bakersfield. And many of them go on to do great things in our community. And I want to share something with you just as I wrap up. And hopefully this will play. I'm not sure if this is going to play, but this, I think that this commercial really captures our philosophy about the athletics department's philosophy about what our student athletes mean to us, and then also mean to the community of Bakersfield. So with that introduction, let me see if I can make this work. Okay, I don't know if, can you see the video screen now?
Before I was a college basketball coach. Before I was
Hold on. I think I have to change something here. I think I have to. Yeah, okay. This should do it. Hopefully you will be able to hear and see this.
Before I was a college basketball coach.
Before I was Nate from State Farm.
Before I was in orthopedic sales.
I was a road runner.
I was a road runner.
I was a road runner.
Roadrunner Scholar athletes represent Bakersfield with pride. After graduation, many stay in Bakersfield to become our community's next generation of leaders. Your investment in the Roadrunner Scholarship Fund is an investment in the future of Bakersfield. Visit gorunners.com/give to support student athlete scholarships. Rise with us.
Yeah, so that is really what we're all about, is bringing young people into our department, onto our teams, onto our campus, into our community, putting them in the very best position that we can possibly provide to them to succeed in the classroom, in competition, and in their social lives. And we spend a lot of time and energy and effort preparing them for life. We want them to have an awesome time while they're on our campus. But what we really need to do is we need to prepare them for the day that they leave, that they leave our department, and then they go back into the community or back to their homes and make huge contributions as our alums. And so, yeah, that's that's the update from the athletics department, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
I have a question, Karen. When you start having the athletic, having on-campus games, how will you let us know that you need 60 plus volunteers? And we also need to know what games or what sports you need volunteers for.
Yeah, you know what I will do following this meeting is I will we're regrouping, restarting some of our old practices. And so we've got to dust off a little rust, so we've got to get ourselves together a little bit, and we'll get a schedule together, and we'll get the game operations crew together and get a schedule to you. And I can provide that through Erica, right, to all of you.
Yes, that would be great.
That would be good. Enid used to take care of that and schedule us all out. And then we've had no one since she left.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll try to fill that in and make sure that we either have a point person or someone from our staff can keep it organized too. So Is there something that you guys like to do better than others? Is there some function of volunteerism that you prefer?
Oh, Bob and I love the hospitality room. We've always had fun in there.
Yeah. Any others?
Handing out rosters or programs at the baseball games.
Yep.
And what?
Volleyball.
Oh, and the volleyball games. But we
Yep.
were.
Sure.
My husband's sitting over here. Volleyball, soccer, baseball.
So just being at the point of entry, so handing out whatever, if it's like a program or a roster or sometimes we hand out little gifts or whatever, so that kind of stuff at the entry.
Kind of stuff, yeah.
Okay, great.
And if it's necessary, if you need us, a few years ago when we were handing out programs at the volleyball game, it was almost like they didn't know what to do with us. For a while it was great, and then it's kind of like, oh no, the old people are here again.
Oh,
What do we do?
Well, I think that's we'll just have to get our staff thinking about, we always, there isn't a day that goes by that we cannot use an extra set of hands. And we just need to plan for it, because when you guys show up on site and you invest your time and commitment to being there, then we want to make it, then we want to take advantage of your generosity with your time, but also make it worthwhile and fun for you. So,
Yes, there's nothing more discouraging than showing up and not really being needed.
Yeah.
We would much rather just show up to those games where you really want us there, where you need us there.
Okay. Well, we'll get that organized, and I'll get that information back to all of you through Erica.
Great.
Karen, will Logan be contacting us then as far as season tickets again?
Yeah, Logan is probably most of you know Logan. I've gotten phone calls from him. Hopefully hopefully not too late at night. But we are in the process of preparing our renewal plan right now. So season tickets are going to, renewals are going to go on sale, I think probably sometime in the next week to 2 weeks.
Oh,
And
okay.
then, so if you already had tickets, the renewal process to keep those in place is going to roll out here in the summer. And then come the end of July, maybe, is when we start really selling to new customers.
Okay,
yeah.
Good.
Not anytime. Are there any other questions from anyone that I can answer?
I had one thought. Why did Big West say no to us at first? What was wrong with us?
Well, what's wrong with us? I asked myself that question in the middle of the night. And so it's funny, when the day we got the invitation, we were all together and there were a bunch of us, celebrating and meeting and trying to, figure out what we were going to do to basically from a communications perspective, how we were going to tell the community what had just happened. And I was standing there next to Dr. Mitchell, and he came up and he put his hand on my shoulder and he said, Karen, we're the only two left. We're the only two that are still here that we're working on that. We had a team of about 6 or 7 people that were working directly with the conference and putting together proposals and showing them all of our progress and asking them, please, will you please take us? And it took, we started that conversation with them in 2005, and it took 13 years
Wow.
to get the invitation. And so to answer your question, what was wrong with us? It's a hard one to answer because it felt very much like a moving target for a long time. They said, well, you don't have baseball. We added it. And it took a lot out of us to add baseball. We had to build that facility. Do you guys remember those ugly green portable bleachers that we would bring in every year that were so awful?
Yes.
And we would sit in them and the
Yes.
color from the seats would like bleed off onto your clothes. It was so terrible. And they were rickety and uncomfortable. We didn't have a scoreboard out there for the first couple of years. We had a baseball team.
Mhm.
So it was hard for us to add baseball, but they asked us to, and we did. And, you know, they put it to us a number of times. They said, well, you don't have this, you don't have this, you don't have this. And really, in my opinion, it came down to just reputation. I think that the schools, especially in the greater Los Angeles area, just didn't think Bakersfield they didn't consider Bakersfield a peer. And we tried, they didn't ever like to hear us talk about how many times we've beaten all of those schools in many different sports. And so we tried not to rub that in too much, but we actually have a very good record dating way back to the beginning when we were in the old Division II CCAA against schools like Cal Poly and Northridge and Riverside. We have a great record against all those schools, and we've been peers with them for decades. And so just for some reason, they didn't want to consider us one of their peers. And frankly, not to bore all of you with any gory details, but when we did finally get the invitation, it wasn't because they came to their senses and said, oh yeah, you know what, we should have had you guys all along. They actually were about ready to let another school into the conference, and they were going to leave us out again. And we had to go the political route. We just had to play some very kind of hardball political cards, which we had not been comfortable. We wanted to be very collegial. We wanted to prove ourselves and demonstrate why we belonged. And we felt like we had done that, and we had still not gotten the invitation that we felt like we deserved. And so we brought in the big guns, and with the alignment of the conference being balanced between the UCs and the Cal States, we had support from our Cal State partners, the other Cal State partners in the conference, to look out for our best interests in those meetings. And so we finally were able to create that alignment, and we intervened, stopped a vote that would have taken place evaluating us and the other UC San Diego independently. They were able to force a vote that evaluated us together, like take both or take neither. And that was the only two choices. And so we finally had a political win. And that's like, there was a lot more to it, but finally had a political win for something that should have happened long ago. We had proven ourselves. We had done everything we needed to do to be in the conference. So I think, and there's great people in the Big West. There's so many great people, and we've gotten to know, we in our work, we get to know our counterparts at all of the other schools. And there's so many nice people, the athletics directors and presidents, and those that are in roles similar to mine, their coaches. We just have so much in common with all of the schools and the people that are in the conference. It's exciting, and it's a good spot for us. And it if we're looking at the silver lining, we kind of get a second chance at our first year, right? So we kind of last year's first year in the conference. It doesn't really count as a normal year, but come fall of 2021, we get another shot at having our first year in the conference. So we're gonna take advantage of that.
Yeah, very good. Thank you.
Is there anything else? Erica, is there anything else that you want me to talk about? Any other questions?
Great, yeah. I was interesting to learn that there are more female athletes and teams. I don't know, I just assumed there are more guys in sports.
Yeah, and I can explain a little bit about why that is the case. We have, everyone probably knows, at least has heard of Title IX. And Title IX is an anti-discrimination policy that has a pretty big impact on college sports, and basically it requires the athletics department to mirror the population of the campus in terms of our gender split. So because we have 65%, there's a little bit of, they allow a little bit of a variance. So I think a 5% variance. And so we have between 60 and 65% women on our campus and between 35 and 40% men. So that is close to what our breakout is on the athletic population as well. And so anytime it gets really strategic, we dropped tennis a number of years ago. We just didn't have a great facility and we hadn't been able to really recruit high-level student athletes. And so we dropped tennis, which meant we were losing part of our female student athlete population. So we added beach volleyball. And so that's pretty common when you see a sport start to struggle, that you may see a school drop one and add another just to keep the numbers in line.
That makes sense.
Interesting.
Yeah. Anything else I can share with you? I want to answer any questions or address any of the bigger issues that you want me to.
Yeah, it's been very, very interesting. I've enjoyed it.
Yeah, it is. I'm not even a big sports fan, and I've really enjoyed your talk, Karen. It's been really informative.
Oh, good. I'm glad. And I think a lot of people think about sports in its purest form, which is, what you see on TV but what we do is a lot. What we do in college athletics, especially at our level, we're not a UCLA or a Stanford or a Texas, but the work that we do is really, truly, it just goes back to that commercial. It is really, truly about providing these young people, and they are, I just feel fortunate every day to be around 308 young people between the ages of 18 and 22 who are so driven and so energetic and so talented. Like, just being around them every day is so much fun. And that's really our mission, is just to provide them with the best possible experience and then ship them off into the world and watch them do great things with their lives. And so we've been really proud of what our student athletes have been able to do.
Great.
Well, thank you very much for coming and giving this talk. That's very interesting.
Good. Happy to do it. Happy to do it anytime. So thank you for having me.
All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay. So I'm gonna leave. You guys probably have a meeting to continue on. Is that what you want me to do, Erica? I'll go ahead and sign off now.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, we don't really have a meeting, but yeah,
Okay.
thank you so much.
Okay, but we'll be in touch about volunteering for